let's start with today's webinar. I'm going to start making some introductions. I am Gabriel Garcia. I am the Business Development Manager of IoT inside of Integra. We will talk a little bit about Integra in a minute. And also today with us is Daniel Sanz, okay, from Libellium. Daniel, may you present yourself?
Hi everybody, yes, my name is Daniel Sanz. In these moments, I'm the sales area manager for the Spanish market, but I have also been working in business development department many times in Libellium company. I will also introduce our company, Libellium, in the next slides, but from now it starts Gabriel.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So today we're going to talk about S-Spaces, okay, which is an acronym for Smart Spaces, a solution that we developed to control the influx of people and vehicles in these COVID-19 times. Basically, I think technology, a lot of different technologies have arisen in terms of helping humanity fight this new way of living that we are exploring right now. And in that sense, we wanted to help with technologies we already had worked before in the past. So basically, what we did was to adapt technologies that we were already very confident with solutions that we think may be very interesting to help fight this sanitary crisis that we are living. The webinar will be divided into 6 different items. Okay, so we will talk a little bit about who we are, both Integra and Libellium as a company. Okay, so we will talk about ourselves and about our relationship, our partnership. We will also talk about the solution, Smart Spaces. Okay, how it is in overall, how it helps. Okay, we will also get into more detail about the types of applications that we can solve, the types of use cases that we can solve using this technology. Then we are lucky to have the main manufacturer of the technology used in this solution, which is Libellium, and they will talk about the technology, how it works, how a project is implanted using this technology, how we can use it. And then we will see 2 success cases that we have already developed with this technology to help understand a little bit where this solution is most helpful. Okay, so let's start. Please, if you have any questions during the webinar, we think that the best is to you can write it down in the questions mark in the panel, and we will try. So we will answer all the questions at the end of the webinar. Okay, so you can write them down. We will go back to whatever item you had questions about, but it's easier, a little bit easier this way. So basically, what we are as a company in Integra, we are a technology consultant company. So we are basically having different divisions that are complementary between each other. And what we do is we develop integral solutions. So what we deliver is end-to-end solutions to our customers. In this sense, when we talk about end-to-end solutions, in the field of IoT, we do work in other fields close to technology, but what's my area of influence? We work with IoT, with Internet of Things, and in this sense, we're able to deliver projects involving different kind of parts. So we work in projects in where we start from the consulting and strategy of the design from the solution, and in other projects we only work in the interface part. So we are able to deliver a solution that's complete or a solution that has already some things developed. In this case, we also work with sensors, so we are able to provide almost any kind of sensor for a project. We have a very strong team in the backend systems, so we are able to work with a high confidence with data, with cloud platforms, with data analysis, complex data analysis. in where we also start to work with artificial intelligence. We have a whole team dedicated just to artificial intelligence, and we integrate the knowledge of this topic, of this technology, with the IoT. So we are able to deliver projects in where we mix the physical world and what we can create in the non-physical world. And then we strongly work on the interfaces. Because we deliver end-to-end projects, we need to create solutions that are going to be used by our customers. So we always focus a lot on how the data is going to be shown in the platform, and how we are going to interact. How is the user going to interact with this data? Because only having data is not enough to solve a use case. That's at least our experience. And we always try to put a lot of effort into creating interfaces that are really 4.0 interfaces, that are interfaces that can really solve the use case. So we will always talk about use cases, and from that point, we will try to create something that's not based on the technology. So we will not base our solutions on the initial parts of the project, which would be more related to the cloud platform, to the sensor, to the edge, but we will try to focus that so that the delivery of the project is more based on the interface. So if you have an interface that can solve your problem, you really you may be not too interested about how this is achieved. So you basically need something that makes the solution available. In this sense, we created a solution, okay, which is smart spaces. What smart spaces is about is we deliver a tool that can be used to track smart devices. So there is a lot of technologies coming up nowadays in the market about how can governments and companies help to control the influx of people in offices, in public spaces, in public parks, in parking slots. So there's a lot of technologies coming up that can help to do this, but every technology has its perfect spot where the application can be solved. So we see, for example, if we had a very big hallway that in where all the people that went into some building, for example, went through that point, then maybe we could have some physical system to count how many people are going inside. If we are looking to control how many cars are parked in a parking lot, in a public parking lot, then we may have easier solutions, for example, with smart parking sensors on the floor that can help us know exactly how many cars are inside. But then there are other solutions in where flexibility must be very high, installation and implementation must be easy. Okay, so what we did was to create a solution that combines the easy to use feature of smart spaces, okay, because this is something very important. We need a solution that is really simple to use. We are not looking for a very complex people counting system with complex artificial intelligence and with a lot of systems to manage. We wanted to create something that really was easy to use. And then we also needed something that was flexible. So this is something, for example, when we talk about flexibility here, we are talking about we need a solution that can be adapted for the current times that we're living. So we need a solution that can be used in these COVID-19 times, but we also need a solution that can be used in the future when probably we will not have the highly accurate requirements that we have right now from governments, where we have to be very specific in how we count people. But this statistic that we are able to generate, that we will see further on in the presentation, is something that we can use in the future. So we have a solution that's really flexible and that can be also used in the future when maybe this COVID-19 times are not so highly needed. How this works is basically we connect to the smart devices of the users. Okay, I will let Daniel in the presentation explain this with further detail. But basically, we connect to every device that goes into an area of around 30-meter radius. Okay, so this is how we connect with people, and by connecting with people, we can basically work in two use cases. So this solution has to solve a problem, and in this case, we are looking to solve the problem that managers of large areas have, in sense of controlling how many people, how many vehicles, when, in which concentration are people going into these spaces. So basically, our two main use cases is we can use this solution to control entrance into certain space. For example, we are using this in public parks. I'm the manager of a public park, of maybe a very rural and natural space that people go to when they leave the city, and I want to make sure that people are not agglomerating in these spaces, that people are not crowding too much. So I want to control people, for example, in a track, okay, in a hiking track. What do I do to control that this track is not overpopulated in this currently? So basically, we put one of the devices, one of the antennas, which is called measuring scanner. We put them in the entrance of the place, and we can have a full control of how many people went into the space, when they went into the space, how much time they spent into this space, so we can start calculating some statistics of usage of these spaces, not only controlling the crowd. And we will see that a lot of data based on this entrance and exits control. And our second use case is, okay, I do not have this situation. I cannot control only an entrance on exit or exit, because I have a very open space. Let's talk, for example, about a supermarket. I have a very big supermarket which has, I don't know, 6 entrances. And for me, it's not enough to know how many people are inside. I need to know how people are moving around, how they are crowding, where there's more people. If in a large shopping center, people are going to the restaurant, or people are going to the shopping center. So I need to have more detail about how are people behaving in my space. So in this case, what we use is this same information of where the people are. So we connect to their devices. We know who is who, so we can know that if some user entered using door 3 and then went to area B, for example, because the MAC address of their smartphone is the same, we can know that the same user went and from one place to another place. So we can track people inside our space. Okay, this would be our second type of use case. Of course, we would always count kind of globally, so we will always know how many people went through certain space, but we can go deeper into detail in this sense. I think one of the greatest things that we experience when we talk about use cases, and not only about our technology, is that we are lucky to being able to adapt the solution to almost whatever use case is technically viable. So we have full control of both the hardware, the communications, and the software platform. So we can adapt the solution to almost every use case. So basically, as I said, what we have, so the functions we developed for this kind of solutions, we saw the use cases, but what can we do with the solution? We can, of course, have a capacity control, so we can have some screens showing if capacity is already full, or what percentage of capacity is there in the space. We have a lot of security features, so we can help to know if someone entered a space that wasn't meant to be entered. We can know if someone entered a space in an hour that wasn't supposed to be allowed to the entrance. And we can of course also control if someone went, so because we can track people inside the space, we can also know if someone is doing some, let's call it strange movements around the space, so we can know if some security issues have arisen. And then our last function that we always think important in this type of solutions is regarding the alarms. We need to generate actions. So we receive a lot of data and we can create a lot of insights, but this is a little bit short on possibilities. We need to create alarms. For example, some things that we are doing right now. If we're counting people inside our shopping mall and we know that 1,000 people have gone through a certain space, then we probably can generate an alarm to let know the cleaning service that they should disinfect the place where already 1,000 people have gone through. So we try to generate alarms, to generate actions that really act depending on the insights, but that do not need a constant personal monitoring from a human. So we can generate automatic actions that can communicate with other processes or other services. And this is also something that we think is very, very valuable for our customers. So I will give control to Daniel so he can talk a little bit about the technology and explain to us how this technology works and how we can use it. Please, Daniel.
Thank you, Gabriel. Well, now I would like to focus on the hardware side, of course. But first of all, I would like to do a short introduction of our company, Libelium. Libelium has been 14 years in the market. The company was founded in 2006. Of course, our headquarters are in Spain, as you probably know. We are not a big company. In these moments, we are around 50, 55 people. And 90% of the revenue is international, so we are selling worldwide. We have more than 10,000 customers in more than 120 countries. Of course, we have also many partners as Integra Group, and also we have many different distributors around the world. Libelium basically since the beginning has focused on hardware manufacturing. Our expertise is to integrate different wireless connectivities, different sensors, in order to provide a hardware platform able to monitor any parameter through any sensor, send this information wirelessly to any cloud, to any server, wherever, always based in a open source solution. Okay, we have many different solutions for different applications and verticals, but especially we are very strong in terms of water quality, agriculture, smart cities, parking, and also scanning devices. In the next slide, for these applications for spaces is based in or is using our technology for detecting devices, as Gabriel has explained. And in the hardware side of the solution, we are talking of in this webinar is our mesh limit scanner, which for this application, of course, is installed in different points of the area. As Gabriel explains, mainly on the entries and exit, to monitor and detect basically Bluetooth low energy and Wi-Fi signals of pedestrians and also cars. Of course, the more device you add, more reliable and accurate results you get. But it's especially useful when you add 3 or more devices in a specific area, because using the strength of the signal, you can have and you can triangulate people in order to know exactly, or well, not exactly, with certain accuracy, where the people is in these moments. In the next slide, okay, you can see here the specifications of the device. Basically, it's a Linux router where we have integrated different connectivities. At the beginning, and also in these moments, we are using, depending on the antennas, this device also as a gateway. But in this case, it's a device that includes a Bluetooth module, a Bluetooth low energy module, Wi-Fi as an access point, Wi-Fi to scan devices, and also 4G. So Bluetooth and Bluetooth low energy, of course, are to detect Bluetooth signals, and Wi-Fi scan as well. So the device in this case is working very simple. The time of scanning is programmable, but normally let's say that it's a scan of 20 seconds. So it starts scanning during that 20 seconds, and each device that is detected is inserted on the database, on the internal database. That at the end, companies like Integra can integrate easily in their own database to use that information for this kind of applications. Okay. One of the main points is, as Gabriel said, that devices do not have to be connected to a specific point to be detected. It's in the previous slide. Sorry, Gabriel. Gabriel. Thank you. So devices are not connected do not need to be connected to a specific point. Okay. And with this device, of course, the aim is to count people, but also depending on the information that you are receiving from the device, that basically what the device gives you is the timestamp of the detection, the MAC address of the device, if the device is connected to an access point or not, also the signal strength, and even gives you the vendor. Okay. In the case of Bluetooth, also give you the class of device. So with all this information, you can know how many people are in every moment, how many time that people spend on a specific area, everything. Okay. So if you can pass to the next slide, sorry. Thank you. In terms of installation, it's a very simple device. It's like as I say, it's like a router. In this case, you need to power the device through power over Ethernet, and also includes the possibility, in case you cannot connect to Ethernet in the place you install the device, to include 4G connectivity in order to externalize the information of the sensor. But in any case, it's always recommended, because it's a device that works better if it's connected to Ethernet, because in many cases the amount of data that is sending is quite high, so it will always work better with over Ethernet. In case of 4G, well, it's a nano SIM that you can include, and normally it's recommended to have a fixed IP in case you want to interact with the device. And basically, in terms of hardware, this is our solution. Of course, if at the end of the presentation, because now Gabriel continues explaining spaces, is there any hardware question? I will be glad to answer everything.
Perfect, Daniel. Thank you very much for the explanation. I think it's very interesting that we can distinguish with this hardware the type of device that we're detecting, which is a feature that we use a lot in the software part. So when it comes to the platform, to the dashboard, okay, we as a company we do not have a closed product developed for this kind of application. So we do have some standard parts of the platform, but what we always do is we have kind of a consultancy interview with new customers that ask us for this solution. We try to understand very well the use case. It's not the same working for a football field manager or for an events space or maybe um, for public buildings. So we try to understand very well what the use case is, and then we always adapt a little bit what we are developing for the customer in this situation. This is also easy to do thanks to the solutions that we are using from the cloud perspective. We are working in this solution with Microsoft Azure, in where we use some very specifically IoT solutions from Azure, such as Azure IoT Hub, which helps us to manage, especially in projects where we have a high amount of scanners. Okay, it helps us to manage whether they're working properly, to kind of administrate all the devices. Okay. Um, at the end, what the user receives is a web platform that can be opened in any kind of device, computer, laptop, mobile phones, tablets, whatever, and then it shows some data that we think it's very interesting for the users. In this case, what we are seeing in the screen is a solution that we developed before COVID-19. It was basically used to track the usage of public spaces. So the main KPIs, I'm sorry, it's in Spanish. We didn't develop it in English. But the main KPIs that we have in this sense is that we are counting how many people go into this space. It has multiple entrances and multiple exits, so we track all of them, and then we kind of compute the data all together. We count how many people went into the space during a certain day. We also calculate how many parks were parked close to this space, and then we start with some very interesting data, such as what's the mean time that people spend in the park. And really the KPI that in this case the government was looking for is, okay, so what's the total time of hours that people spend in my park? Because this is ultimately the benefit that I'm giving to the citizenship. So what's the time that people use my park every day? So in this case, we counted that it was for this certain day in September, last year September, it was 7,000 hours was the KPI that the the government was able to get of what was the usage of this space, which is a very interesting data to compare it to other days, to see some graphs based on it. We basically are able to calculate the movement evolution over time, so we can see which days, which hours, which times it's more crowded. We can also calculate all the masses that are going to crowd inside the spaces, so we can put alarms. So we can say, okay, if more than 30 people are inside this space, please generate an alarm. We can also determine tendencies, okay, and habits. We usually integrate also, powered by Microsoft, Power BI into our platforms, so we can create complex data based on what we are showing. We can also estimate influx. Okay, so if we have enough previous data, we can kind of try to predict what's going to be the usage in the near future. This is something we can predict in September, because if we went into the platform right now and saw the data of the confinement times, we would see that it was really much lower. Okay, so we had days in where less than 50 people went into the park, and in the case of Spain, where we could at least walk the dog. All this hasn't been prohibited. Um, it's, I think, a very short number, so we could see perfectly how the graphs evolved in this case. And at the end, um, because we saw how the hardware is, we saw how it can be installed. It's a device that's pretty easy to move around, so we can also use these kind of solutions to do um, analysis based on different locations. So with less devices, we can cover larger areas by moving the devices. It's something that we are also confident with, and that's useful to get statistical data on how, for example, in a city, how different spaces are being used. Okay, so we can kind of share the solution with different spaces. We also have, well, this is the success case I was talking about. Okay, this is the park in Zaragoza, which was the main park for the expo in 2008. And basically, what we're calculating, as I already explained, the usage. So we are calculating how many people use this space, which is something that then helps also governments to see if they have to spend or to invest more in this kind of spaces, or if they may need to spend more on other spaces which are more, let's call it, popular in the city. So it wasn't a solution for COVID-19, but it was one of the solutions that helped us to adapt our current solution to the needs that we are actually getting nowadays, which is, for example, the success story from Crawford Lake Park. Okay, this is a solution that's being developed for a Canadian Nature Conservation Authority that basically needs to have different applications. One of them is, so to access this park, there's a single road. So we are controlling exactly the entrance the entrance road. We are calculating how many people go into let's call it the complete area. And then inside the area, there's a lot of activities people can do. Okay, and one of them is a hiking track. So we are monitoring both the complete site, okay, which was something very interesting, and then we are also controlling the hiking track. In this case, the hiking track has a limit of people that can go inside. So we do have statistical data on usage of all the different areas, but we also needed to have real-time data to being able to generate alarms. So what we did is we established what's the maximum people allowed into the hiking track, and then from that point we have both on the dashboard and in the alarming system, we are generating excesses. So we know if there is 2 people more than it should in the platform. We know we receive also SMS and email alerts, which is something very interesting in this case for the customers. Because the solution also, well, may need some connection with third-party systems. We also have an API that helps to connect and download the data. Okay, so it can be inserted in other databases and to be analyzed in other tools, for example, in reporting tools that the customers already have. So in this case, the integration is complete. We are open to share the data even in real time with other applications. And basically, what we always try to focus is on the use case. So we always try to create an environment in where the use case is in the center, because if we are able to solve the use case, then we are able to help other companies, to help other users to use this technology in a proper way. Okay, so basically, I think this is everything we wanted to talk to you about. Okay, we have some references that can help you also to see use cases. We have the spaces solution in the IoT marketplace. We have a study case. So basically, we think that you will receive this presentation, so no problems about that. Right now, I think you can ask us any questions you want. Thank you very much for assisting to today's webinar, and we will answer questions right now. So please do not hesitate in asking them, and also in contacting us in case you have any questions or maybe any ideas you want to share with us to see if the solution could help you in the specific use case that you have right now. So thank you very much, and you can ask questions both to Lebelium and to Integra, so we will be very happy to answer them.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Actually, Gabriel, I think we have a question from Andrea Bertani. Can you see it?
No. Okay, yes, I can see
So
it right now.
Andrea is asking, you use the MAC address to track people entering or exiting an area. What about GDPR? I think can record people's MAC address without consent. Okay, well, from my side, to be honest, I'm not an expert in GDPR, but as far as I know, I think that if you anonymize immediately after collection the MAC address, you are complying with the rules, okay? And in this case, in Meslium device, there is an option that you click manually in order to anonymize the MAC address. And basically, this option will store the MAC address encoded. In this case, is with an MD5 hash, or I'm not technician, sorry. And if I remember well, this hash will be consistent during the same day, but will change from one day to another. So the systems allow to follow this particular user during that day. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we know that the same user got into the area of influence of the device in certain times, but we do not know who this user is. We have not any way to knowing if the user is Gabriel Garcia or Daniel Sanz. We have not in any way access to any private correlation between the data and who this person is. So I think, as Daniel explained, we usually experience that it's not a problem regarding the GDPR compliance. Okay, do we have any more questions? Please do not hesitate. We will try to answer them in a useful way. And you have both Libelium and us today, so please do not hesitate to ask any question. Okay, we are getting another question regarding its usage in indoor areas. So the device can be used in indoor areas. Okay, that's absolutely no problem. And basically, what we always recommend is that maybe the radius that we get in open areas may not be the same in indoor areas. Okay, depending always on kind of interferences that can be generated. For example, we will probably not have such high accuracy in industrial areas, but the solution can, of course, be also used in indoor areas.
There is another question, or at least I see who is your distributor in the Caribbean area? So okay. I don't know if it's oriented to Libelium or Integra. In our case, we don't have a specific distributor in the Caribbean area. We have distributor in Mexico. In Latam, we have some distributors, but specifically in some country on the Caribbean Sea, no.
Yes, so something that we also work with is that we can deliver the project as we said end to end. Okay, so we can deliver the complete project. What we sometimes do is if there is someone that can do the manual installation over the place, we send the device already programmed, already tested, already connected, and so on. We always give instructions and support you, okay, but to make the project, the investment more natural, we try always to have someone just installing the device. But aside from installing it, which is basically the PoE connector, the power over Ethernet, we do not think we need any system integrator, and we are always also open to travel to whatever place in the world if the project is demanding this kind of services. Okay, so that shouldn't be any problem. Okay, we have another question. How about using this technology in the trade show business in the future? I think they may use it. So we think that the applications are very vast. We think that the places where it can be installed is also very interesting. In this case, thank you very much. Yes, I think it would be interesting to explore this idea, Jan. So we will be in contact with you to explore this idea. Thank you very much.